Hey, this is Pamela Riemenschneider. I'm the retail editor for Blue Book Services, and this is the Produce Reporter Week in Review. Big week in controlled environment agriculture, but I don't think they really want to talk about it.
No, we have it's this week that the retail conference is going on in Chicago, and you and I aren't there, but several of our colleagues are there, and they had a big workshop on CEA Ag. And during the same week, we have two pretty big bad news stories out of that industry.
Yeah, the first one came in on Thursday. AeroFarms is filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. Of course, Chapter 11 means that they still can plan to continue operating. This is reorganization. And then earlier this week, AppHarvest out of Kentucky received a foreclosure notice from one of its lenders for its biggest farm. And this isn't the first time I've had little whispers in my ear about problems at AppHarvest. I mean, the problems at AppHarvest have been widely publicized ever since their first crop. Basically, most of it could not be sold because it couldn't make grade. So they've been an uphill battle, and they've got backing from one of the biggest growers in the indoor farming industry, Mastronardi Produce. So they have people who know how to grow, but it seems like the farm in Richmond, Kentucky that we're talking about, it looks like, according to the filings, that they've had construction issues. They've had the lender went and looked in late April and said, "Hey, this isn't finished. This isn't even close to, producing the volumes that we're expecting." And so they decided to pull their note. And I believe AppHarvest received that on May 30th, and they have 20 days to respond. And in the filing that they filed in response, they mentioned this and the other farm that is having some issues, that is financed by a Rabobank subsidiary. And they're pretty much saying that this isn't going to be a quick turnaround and a quick fix, because if you want your money back right now, we're bankrupt, basically.
Yeah, it's been a rocky road. It's not as easy as it looks. Maybe is that it?
Yeah, it's not as but the thing is that for the past couple of years, we've been talking, like, watching billions of dollars flow into tinkering around, and now the investors are going, "Hey, we actually need you to make a profit, and we actually need you to not even a profit, make a product." Because AppHarvest also has a Kentucky farm that has been out of production because they found listeria in there. They snuck that into one of their filings. I'm assuming they're doing a full clean and trying to fix that problem. So it's not just tinkering around and what can we do in the future of agriculture, which I believe indoor farming has a big role in the future of agriculture. But right now, a lot of the investors are going, "We need something to show for our money."
Yeah, that facility is enormous too, 60 acres. I mean,
Yeah,
it would be a shame if that wasn't given the opportunity to do what they hope it can do. Because that's
I
such a massive investment.
it's a massive investment, and here's the thing about it, though, is that if it fails, I don't think they're just gonna like roll up the sidewalk and close down. Somebody else is going to buy it, and they're going to immediately start growing in there. There's a lot more investment to be made in indoor farming. Like I said, I believe it has a large role to play in the future of agriculture, especially with all we've got going on with uncertainties and weather and whatever. We're seeing California. We're waiting to see, how the summer bounces back. Strawberries, like we said, seem to be coming up to their seasonal peak in California. But there haven't really been a lot of talk about what's going on with the lettuce market. We should update that probably in the next week. But yeah, there's a huge role for this to play, and to see two of the largest and most outspoken media darlings. That's the other thing, is that you couldn't throw a rock without hitting, somebody from one of these companies on some kind of Rolling Stone. Was that AppHarvest? or one of the other farms. At every single big show, South by Southwest, they were one of the finalists for one of the innovation awards. So they're very media savvy, but now we need to get savvy about selling some produce.
Yeah, and it's not an unproven model. I mean, it's been successful out of Leamington for several generations, and a very high quality product that competes well in the market. So we know it can be done.
Yeah, we know it can be. And actually, I just saw AeroFarm stuff, their microgreens at the HEB in that I go to. So it's not just seeing it in New York and LA and whatever the big cities. We're actually starting to see those come to smaller markets. Like, I mean, Austin is definitely a test market for some of this stuff, but Cedar Park, farther north out of where all the hipsters and the cool kids live, definitely doesn't seem like a huge target market. But so to see them give some space to some of those products is really interesting. We've got Revol Greens just opened a new facility here in Temples, not too far away. I'm going to watch the shelf space in my local store to see where they start to carve out space for some of these new farms.
Well, we also had an analysis piece this week about snack items, and you wrote that and looked into it. And there's a story in Wall Street Journal about the success of snacking. And unfortunately, it left out a pretty big segment that maybe some of us took personally.
I think the produce industry should take this personally. And it's something that I saw Chris Vaillant bring up a couple of weeks ago. And there's a lively discussion of it on LinkedIn on his post. And it got me thinking. I went on a field trip with my kids and I bought this cute bento box from HEB, but I bought it 50% off. So that means it wasn't selling very well. But when we talk about the snack category, the big snack people, as in like capital B, capital S, big snack, double-digit profits, huge growth, especially Mondelez and Hostess, Hershey. We saw big moves in Campbell's Soup the other day, sold off its nut division to focus on other types of snack products. So these are, and it sold off Bolthouse a couple of years ago because they couldn't make it in fresh snacks. Fresh snacks never seem to be part of the conversation when we talk about snacking. And I don't understand why that is. I don't know why we can't get more notoriety, more press. Is it the cost? Is it because they have to be refrigerated? What's holding us back in snacks?
Well, it's two different arguments. One is what's holding the industry back, and the other is when it is successful, why is it ignored? I mean, our kids have grown up on fresh produce snacks. They're not hard to find. I mean, as long as my kids have been alive, they've been able to get sliced apples at fast food. It's not like it's not out there. It is out there, and you can find it, and it's not that hard. And some of it is really successful, and it's still not talked about. And I think that's a shame.
Yeah, that's what we're coming up against is that I'm also coming up against, I'm going to be honest, my kids are produce kids. They've been raised with produce like yours. But if I gave them the choice, if I'm not cutting it up and having it like presented as easy as possible and as flavorful as possible, as in like I cut the carrots for them. They don't like baby peeled carrots. They don't like sliced apples. They want a fresh apple sliced for them. They're going to pick Takis, or they're going to pick spicy Cheetos, or Funyuns or something like that. If I don't do all the work for them, they're just going to pick whatever's easy and always consistently appetizing to teenage taste buds. And for me, that's salt, sugar, and fat.
Well, it could be the difference between boys and girls too.
Could be. But I'm starting to come up against resistance. When I pack the fresh snacks, when we go on road trips, I will cut up a whole bunch of vegetables and they will happily eat those to a point. And then they want to have something that is, meaty and salty and whatever. So it's American taste buds too, because that's one of the things that people brought up in the LinkedIn comments was that packaged snacks, when we're talking junk food snacks, that's pretty much what the journal article was talking about. It's all junk food, but those are the ones that flip that switch in your brain, according to a lot of people. Not according necessarily to science, because we've seen all the research that shows that fresh produce is actually very good for that feel good in your brain, like fruit rooted in a better mood. That's the PBH slogan on the Have a Plant. But where is this disconnect? Produce has got to figure this out, because it's really frustrating.
Yeah, it's people brought that up at the PBH conference this year to remember that who we're competing against as an industry. It's Mondelez and Hershey's and Lay's.
Yeah.
And it's not fellow produce companies. And it's a huge battle. And I know that's one of the big focuses of IFPA's, big picture. And hopefully we start to see some traction in that. But this is, this Wall Street Journal is an example that there's still a long road.
Yeah, there's a long road, and there are a lot of voices in this industry. So I guess all we can do right now is to make sure that when the conversation comes up, we remind people that fresh produce is healthy, easy, accessible, delicious, cost effective, good for you. Bring all the things that we come up with. But for now, we're just going to have to be like Jan Brady when Marcia always takes the spotlight. Well, that's it for the Produce Reporter Week in Review. If you are not getting the Produce Reporter newsletter, you need to go to producebluebook.com and sign up.